Hello. So, real moment, real day. Um, I didn't make it home this weekend in California, of all places. There's a blizzard warning, bad weather, so I stayed here in Lemoore and didn't go home. And the last 2 weeks or so, they've been kind of rough, more so mentally and just before God. And so I'm coming on here because it's a real moment, and just coming out of prayer before God and seeing, okay, let me get my focus together with the understanding and knowing, when you're in the refiner's fire, you're in it. And so I thank God because I'm seeing and watching him really reveal some very deep rooted, hidden in me. I don't mean if other people can see it or not. It's not about other people, but more so in me to myself, some really deep rooted, hidden pride and resentment. And so, just these last couple of weeks, from everything that's transpired and seeing within myself the pride of, I don't need you, I don't need anybody for anything. And now, even with that, I've never actually really thought that way, at least probably not out loud to myself. And I've never believed that, never will believe that. My understanding is that everybody needs everybody. Why is solitary confinement so difficult, right? Why do we have shows, apocalyptic shows and movies like The Last Man on Earth, and the only thing that people want is to find other people, right? Because without people, life is meaningless and pointless, as it already is, but how much more without other people? I've always hated when people say, oh, I'm an independent, woman, or, when men, like, I don't need no woman for anything, or I'm gonna get me a bag, and, all of these kind of things, because it's like, you do need a man, you do need a woman. We don't even exist without each other, first of all. And what are you getting a bag for if not to use it for other people to see? And I mean that in, the deepest way. Like, if there was nobody on earth but me, who am I getting dressed for? Why am I concerned about, how I'm looking? Like, it's not going to necessarily make me feel better. I'm the only one here. I could care less, right? So we all need each other, even as stupid and simple as those examples might sound. But at the simplest level, we need each other. God knew that. That's why he created Eve. So I've never actually believed that, but I'm seeing it now in me and my actions, and my distaste for anyone to make me feel as though I need them. And also in the humbling experience of, I don't know what this is with my hip, right? But whether it's injury or illness or whatever it is, we all need someone. We all need each other. People need people. That's why I know how evil and wicked all people are, because we can't even get along enough to live peacefully in our different territories, in our different areas and lands. We always have to bother each other. That's why we be at war. Like, why nuclear weapons? Like, are you kidding me? Like, so we just gonna destroy each other and that just be it? We all need each other. But anyway, so I'm seeing this with myself, and what I see is there's this deep rooted need that I have, that I didn't even realize I had, to let people know, like, okay, I've had enough of you. I've had enough of, what you're doing, because, I always have tried to be very forgiving, loving, kind, gentle person. and try to make sure I give people chance after chance after chance. But what I've found is that once that last chance, like God, as many chances as he gives me, who am I to put a limit on anything? But once I feel like, it's that last chance and I've had enough with people, I will 100% walk away. And, it's just because I don't need you. And that's not God. That's not godly. That's not what he's called me to. And so I thank God for showing me that all the more in this season. And I remember a long time ago, he showed it to me when my sister died. And I felt like during that time, just at work and, all the different things, dealing with in ministry and in church, I felt like I hated the people that I had to see every day at work. And the only thing that was keeping me was just keeping my mouth 100% shut, not responding and just not really talking to people. I just completely kept my mouth shut. And during that time, I felt like I hated everyone there because, especially at such a young age, right? Going through being the source of humiliation, the source of ridicule, the source of scorn and shame, and, people talking about me and, people talking harshly to me during that time because the situation that I was in. Even being a failure wasn't, that extreme to me because I saw it coming and others saw it coming. But the dealings in relationships, that was the difficult part. And so I had just determined that I hated these people and made that up in my mind. Then my sister died in the midst of that situation. And I wasn't thinking about them at all. But I'm sure not willingly, all of them, and not all of them probably cared. But somebody probably had them all come together and, give money to help me out. And it did help me out. And it helped me settle, a lot of the affairs that I needed to settle when she died. And so I remember in that moment, God started chipping away at my heart. Like, you can't just be hating people. Like, Jesus didn't. When I was at my absolute worst, hating, God, hating this world, and not just me, this world as a whole, while we were sinners, didn't like Jesus, hated Jesus, he died for us. And so the mark is not other people. The example is not any other person. It's Jesus. And so God puts that before me and showed me in that moment, like, why can't you let it go just because people have spoken harshly to you and about you? Why can't you forgive? Accept what you have there, because at the end of the day, you still need people. You still need them. And so I thought I learned that back then. And all these years later, I think that was 10 years ago, over 10 years ago, all these years later, through more trials and more triumphs and more growths and, more failures, I am seeing in my failing, currently in this situation, in my last few failures this past couple of weeks, and not being obedient to what God is calling me to, which is a higher mark, which is following the example and the leading of my Lord, Yeshua Mashiach, or Jesus, what you want to call him. He is who he is. So I'm seeing it and God showing it to me, but I'm thankful for God showing it to me because I always wanted to, if nothing else, I just want to have a heart as pure as I can before God, because I'm not trying to go to hell for anybody. I'm not trying to go to hell for myself. I want to know God and to continue to grow in knowing God. And I want to be in his kingdom. And so I thank God for the processing of all of these impurities that are still inside of my heart. He's processing them out. And I thank God that I'm seeing it in the midst of him processing it out. So now I'm going to go on the rest of my life, I guess, trying to remember and be mindful and focus and know when that fire hits, let me let it burn. Let me let it burn and burn out all of these impurities that are in me. Let me die to myself. Let me die to my own pride. Who do any of us have anything to prove anything to? Naked, we came into this world with nothing. From dust we came, and from dust we will return. There's nothing that any of us have anything to boast about. Everything that we have has been given from God. None of us look the way we look. None of us, have the health that we have on our own. None of us have the abilities, the strengths, the mindset, the mind stability, the mind strength, the intelligence level. We have nothing in and of ourselves. God created us the way that he created us. He formed us. He put every maximum potential inside of us that he determined he wanted us to have. He put every ability in us that he determined he wanted us to have. The level of knowledge and wisdom that we could contain in our minds for each individual person, he put that there. Our IQ doesn't mean anything. Our physical strength and ability doesn't mean anything. Our insight and all of these gifts and wonderful and great things that are great that we should be thanking God for, it means nothing without God. He gave it and he can take it away. And so why do we boast, or why do we have pride in ourselves or in others? It's kind of pointless. And so I want to allow God to burn these things out of me. And I guess doing this video is really going to put it to the test, because now I for real have to live up to it. And so I just thank God for showing me these things in me. And I'm about to let this fire burn. It's going to be hard because it's been hard, but I don't want to walk around with secret, deep-rooted, hidden things inside of my heart. I want to be made better, and better meaning being made more like Christ, as time goes on. I want to do what the word says, not what the world says. The word told me to value others above myself. The word already told me that, the heart of man, my heart, but everyone's heart, but my heart, that is deceitful above all things, that is wicked, and who can know it? And now I'm seeing it more and more and more as God digs and digs and digs deeper and sets some things to the fire so that I can come out more and more pure. So I'm going to let God, and I'm going to try to be mindful and allow that fire to burn. And I think that's all I can think right now. But I thank God. Amen. Praise God.